Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wallahu azizun hakim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. So today is the English character building workshop, and except last English workshop we have been doing these sifat, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for past many months. And I think we have covered around 70 odd attributes. Today I've chosen another attribute of Allah Ta'ala, another sift of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, which is Al-Hakim. Al-Hakim. Very wise. I mean, this is the rough translation that you can say. Very wise. The most wise. Allama ibn Jarir rahimahullah ta'ala, he explains in his book, he says that Al-Hakimu alladhi la yadkhulu fi tadbirihi khalalun wala zalalun. That Al-Hakim is the one that in his planning there is no stoppage that enters that. Then nobody can stop his plannings. That is Al-Hakim. Allama ibn Kathir rahimahullah ta'ala, he says Al-Hakimu fi af'alihi wa aqwalihi fayadahu al-ashya'a fi mahalliha li'ilmihi wa hikmatihi wa adalihi. So in Tafseer Ibn Kathir rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that Al-Hakim is that being who is wise in all his actions and all his sayings, and in a way that through his knowledge, through his wisdom, through his justice, he puts everything in place. Anyway, there are many definitions that people have said about Al-Hakim. But as we all know, that wisdom generally is defined as something that is done or said according to the place, according to the situation, according to the types of people, etc., etc. So when things are done according to the way that they should be done, that is the most perfect way of doing things or saying things, that is called wisdom. And in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also mentioned that, हमेशा बंद कर दिया कर please. मैं हमेशा मना हर जुमे को कहता हूँ, ये वाला, इधर वाला, कि उधर वाला, बस ठीक है, फिर रहने। क्या कह रहा था? कि in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that Sunnah is wisdom. لقد من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. That indeed Allah Ta'ala has done a lot of favors on believers, that He has sent to them a messenger from amongst themselves who recites to them His verses, and He purifies them, and He teaches them the book and the wisdom. And almost all the ulama of tafsir, they are of the opinion that here wisdom means sunnah, yani the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. Because How old is he? 3 years. A 3-year-old, he starts questioning a 60-year-old. Why did you do this? A 3-year-old. Doesn't make any sense. Maybe he understands some things, mashallah, because he's very intelligent. But will he understand everything? Absolutely not, right? I'm planning to do something tomorrow and he will start questioning me. And I can try to make him understand as to why did I do what I did. But then I can only make him understand a few things. The other things he will not understand, and he will have to accept that this is why I did what I did, right? If he has trust in me, if he has confidence in me that I am his well-wisher, right? He is his father, and he trusts in his father that his father must have done the best for him, then he will not question everything. But will he understand everything? No. This is exactly how we are. We are the ibad of Allah. We are the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we believe in Allah ta'ala as believers. So we must trust everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does to us. And if we understand a few things, very good. But if we don't understand a few things, then we should not question Allah ta'ala. सामने क्यों नहीं बैठते, समझ नहीं आती। सामने खाली होता है और इधर उधर लोग बैठ जाते हैं। मेरी गर्दन थक जाएगी यार ऐसे। And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has explained in the Quran as to why does he do what he does. ये जा रहा ऑनलाइन के नहीं जा रहा, क्या मसला हो रहा है? सही। आपकी नज़रें भी इधर हैं। मैं परेशान होता हूँ यहाँ पे। मैं आपको बार बार कह चुका हूँ, मेरी सारी फोकस ख़राब हो जाता है अगर आप इसके साथ खेलेंगे तो। बाहर उधर देखेंगे और सब कुछ करेंगे। मैं नहीं बात कर सकता, मेरी कमज़ोरी है। क्या बात करूँ? हाँ, Allah Ta'ala has explained in the Quran as to why does he do things. One of the stories is in Surah Al-Kahf. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wassalam, once somebody asked him as to who is the most knowledgeable. And he thought because he is the Prophet of Allah and is taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly, he gets wahi, revelation. So of course, what can be more than revelation? So he said, I am. But then Allah Ta'ala told him that there is somebody who knows something, another science, which you don't know. So you go and you learn from him. Allah Ta'ala is telling him that you have, yes indeed, you have certain knowledge that nobody knows more than you, but there is another knowledge that somebody else knows, which you don't know. So go and search for him, that person. And Allah Ta'ala told him the signs as to where will you find that man. And he went with one of his students, his khadim, the one who served him. And then they traveled on a boat in the sea. And long story, read Surah Al-Kahf. Close to the end of the surah, this whole waqia is mentioned. Many people have studied that. Some people might not have known that. But that man is known in the books of Tafseer as Khidr, although this name is not mentioned in the Quran. So that man named Khidr alayhi salam, he knew a science which is called Ilm Taqween. Allah Ta'ala does his things through his order, kun, be, fayakun, and it happens. So this is Ilm Taqween, the way that things happen in the world. So this is the science. There is an Ilm of Shariah, which is the knowledge of the principles as to how should we behave, how should we act in different situations. That is our knowledge. But then how does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala run the whole world? That's a totally different science. And Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam had that science of Ilm Sharia, but he did not by then know the Ilm Taqween. So Allah Ta'ala sent him on that expedition, go and be with this slave of mine who knows Ilm Taqween. Anyway, they found that man. And so the Khidr alayhi salam, he said to Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, you will not be able to remain patient with me, because what I do is not according to Sharia. That is what Allah Ta'ala has taught me. This is not according to the principles that you know. He said, no, I'll be patient. Let's see. So Musa alayhi salatu wasalam spent with him some time. And they took a boat. And that boat was of an old man. An old man was the owner of that boat. And what that man, Khidr alayhi salam, did was that he took out one of the pieces of the boat and made it defective. See, the Musa said, what are you doing? This is not good, right? It's the boat of an old man. You are making it defective. This is oppression. Don't do that. He said, did I not tell you that you will not be able to remain patient with me? He said, I'm sorry. Then they moved on, and they passed through a village, and there was a small little child, and he killed that child. That man, Khidr alayhi salam, killed that child. So Musa alayhi salam could not take it. What did you do? Masoom kid, innocent kid, you killed him. He said, did I not tell you you will not be able to remain patient? Oh, I'm sorry. And the third incident, they reached a village where people were really oppressive. And they were travelers, and ideally in that culture, in fact, throughout Islamic culture, people will entertain the guests, but they did not entertain them as guests. They did not feed them food. So there was a wall that was about to fall in that village. So Khidr alayhi salam, what he did was he erected that wall back without taking any compensation for that. So Musa said, what did you do? We were hungry. At least if they did not feed us, we could have at least taken the compensation for erecting the wall back. They're oppressive people. Are you helping them and not even taking any wages for that? He said, that's it. We cannot be together because you will never be able to remain patient with me. Let me tell you why did I do what I did. So the first incident, he said that the king of of the first town where I made that boat defective, he was a very oppressive man, and his people, his army will take every boat. It will snatch every boat, except those that were defective. So I thought to make that boat defective of that old man, of that poor man, so that these people do not snatch it. So I, in reality, saved the boat. By making the boat defective, I saved it for that poor man. As for the second boy that I killed, young boy, this boy, after that he would have grown young, he would have become rebellious. And not only that he would have become rebellious by himself, but rather he would have also taken his very righteous parents, also rebellious to Allah Ta'ala. So I did not want to make I did not want that this boy caused destruction in the akhirah for his parents. So I killed him so that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala replaces them with a righteous child instead, who will become their support in their old age. So that's why. And the third story, the third incident that happened, that I erected that wall back, in reality that under that wall was a treasure of 2 orphans. And if that wall had fallen down, that treasure would have come out. And because the people of this town are very oppressive, they would have taken that treasure and would not have given anything to those 2 orphans. So I erected that wall back so that remains intact, so that when these orphans grow old, they will themselves take these treasure out. And the reason that I did that, because in their lineage their father was a very righteous man. Because of the blessings of the righteousness of their father, Allah Ta'ala wanted that these kids also get the blessings and their treasure remain safe. That's why I did. So Allah Ta'ala mentioned this story, these 3 stories, that everything is done out of some wisdom. Don't question what Allah Ta'ala does. And the reason I'm mentioning that, I keep on repeating this every time that we do these sifat of Allah Ta'ala in these character building workshops, because this makes a believer content and satisfied as to whatever happens around him. Otherwise, people become so panicked and they don't realize that what is happening around them unless and until they do believe in the hikmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Hakim. He is the most wise. Whatever happens, happens for a reason, for some wisdom. Allah ta'ala had to take some great work from Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And that great work was the help of the poor through him. He was born in Palestine to a family of prophets, of course. Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, son Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam, son Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam was his father. Like the whole lineage was prophets, but they were in a village, living in a small town, right? And he was to serve poor people by becoming a king. Now imagine, please understand this point. People don't understand these things. A person in the village cannot become a king. A person in a village cannot become a king. Imagine you make me a king. What will happen to the country? I'll just destroy it because I don't know how to run the country. This is not my job, right? This is not me. In order to become a king or a president or a prime minister, you need to know exactly how to run a country. You need to know politics. You need to know, the tricks and the traits of all what needs to be done in a country, etc., etc. Allah Ta'ala had to take the work of serving the poor through him by making him a king. And he is in a village in Palestine. Look as to how did Allah Ta'ala do all of this stuff. And also remember that Allah Ta'ala always works according to the means that Allah Ta'ala has set up in this dunya. Allah Ta'ala is not in need of these means, but Allah Ta'ala uses these means. Remember this, my friends, please. Ye bhi humse galti hoti hai. That's also where we make a mistake. We try to bypass these means. And this is not how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala works. His sunnah is that things happen according to the means. Remember this. So Allah Ta'ala had to make him a king in Egypt, which was the superpower of that time. And he is in Palestine, which is sort of under the territory of that superpower, but a small little village. So we all know what happened. All those who know the story of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, they know what happened. His brothers, his stepbrothers, they became jealous of him. They decided to throw him into the well. Long story short, as a small little kid, he was thrown into the well. Some people, caravan passing by, going to Egypt, they tried to take water out of that well, and guess what they got? A boy, Yusuf alayhi salam, right? And they went and they sold him in the slave market in Egypt. Somehow the governor of Egypt, he was thinking that we should have a servant. But that servant has to be, good looking, well mannered, because he has to live in a palace, right? He cannot be just any slave. So he went himself to the market, to the slave market of that time, and he found out this beautiful, young, handsome boy, right? So he thought of buying him. He brought him to the palace, and now he is raised in the palace. He is seeing all what his guardian is doing, his master is doing, who was the governor, who was like the prime minister of Egypt. He was second in command after the king. Quran calls him Aziz of Misr. Right? And he's watching everything. He's learning everything, subconsciously or consciously. Allah Ta'ala made all of this plan. Looks like from an outset, oh my God, thrown into the well, sold as a slave, right? And then subhanAllah, what happened? Then, long story short, but then he was seduced by the wife of that governor, and then he was put into jail. Now he's put into jail. Why? Put into jail not for a day or two or a month or two, for years, more than 9 years possibly. 8 to 9 years he was in jail. There were them the dream, and one of them, when he was released from the prison, he said, you know what, when you go out, the king, that I'm innocent, I did not do anything, I'm in jail for no reason. And guess what, Allah Ta'ala says that Shaitan made him forget to say that to the king, and he stayed in the jail for around 9 years, from 3 to 9 years, bid'a sinin. Why is he in the jail? Because he was to become a king, and now for the first 16, 17, 18, 20 years, whatever time he spent in the palace, he learned all the traits, the art of becoming a king. But now he also he was locked in the palace. He was a slave. He could not, he just go out for some things, but he was not interacting with people. And he was to become a king later on, so he should know that how to interact with people as well. And in the jail, you find all sorts of people. Right? Every sort of person comes in the jail who has committed some sort of a crime. Some innocent people also come. He stayed in the jail for like good 7, 8, 9 years, whatever, and he interacted with all of those, and he learned what are people thinking? How do people make mistakes? What are the problems of people? What are the problems of a common man? So his tarbiyat is happening in the jail for all of these years. Looks like, oh my God, that's all calamity. Thrown into the well, right? He was accused of something that he did not do, was put into the jail for all of these years. He could have come out, but then because of the mistake of that man who forgot to tell the king that he's innocent, he stayed in the jail for many more years. Why is this? Oh my God. But it is all happening for some wisdom by Al-Hakim. Then the king sees a dream. And he says, can anybody tell me the dream, the interpretation? Nobody knew the interpretation. Now that man to whom Sayyidina Yusuf ﷺ gave him the interpretation of that dream in the jail, and he was released, he said, I know a man. He's in the jail though. Can you allow me to go to the jail? All the protocols that are needed to go to the jail. Can you please provide that to me so that I can go and ask him? So then Yusuf ﷺ told him the interpretation of the dream of the king. And then he came back, told the king, this is what he is saying. He said, looks like an amazing man, bring him out. Again, long story short, cutting fast forward, he brought him out and made him his deputy. He said, you are the deputy president. He said, you know what? I don't want to be a deputy president. Make me the finance minister. Because I know that art, and I know there is some drought coming in Egypt. And then later on, so first 7 years will be good, but then after that there will be drought, and I want to help people out with sincerity. And he has learned all of the art in the palace and in the jail. How to deal with people, how to do all of that stuff. This is why Allah Ta'ala took him to all of these stages and looked like as if they were all calamities, but in reality that was all out of the wisdom of Al-Hakim. That is his planning. This is what we said at the start. Al-Hakim alladhi la yadkhulu fi tadbirihi khalalun wala zalalun. Nobody can stop his planning. This is Al-Hakim. This was the planning of Allah. But we are so short-sighted people. And because we do not have that belief in Al-Hakim, that is why we become so panicked so quickly. इतनी जल्दी परेशान हो जाते हैं छोटी सी बातों में. In small little things we get so upset, and many of us maybe start doubting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why is this happening? Well, that's happening for a reason. That's happening because of the wisdom of Al-Hakim. So don't worry, just trust in him. That's exactly what tawakkul is. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. I trust in Allah and He's the best protector. I believe in Him. That's what I say when things are not not going my way, and inshallah ta'ala I'll become a calm person. I'll become a confident person. This is Al-Hakim, my friends. And I've just told you 2 stories from the Quran to let you know as to who Al-Hakim is. So this is, my friend, what Allah Ta'ala is. And Allah Ta'ala also wants us to become Hakim also. Allah Ta'ala also wants us to become Hakim. Allah Ta'ala also wants us to become wise people. Right? And hikmat, wisdom, is something that can be learned, and that is something that we should beg Allah Ta'ala for. يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Allah Ta'ala says that He gives wisdom to whoever He wants, and whoever is given wisdom, indeed he has been given a lot of good. बहुत बड़ी खैर है किसी को हिकमत मिल जाए. Allah से मांगनी चाहिए. We should beg Allah Ta'ala for wisdom. There was a man called Luqman alayhi salam. There is a difference of opinion if he was a prophet or not a prophet. But he said some things that were full of wisdom, and Allah Ta'ala has mentioned those things in the Quran. And not only that, that whole surah is called Surah Luqman. Say if he was not a prophet, but he was a wise man. And Allah Ta'ala appreciates wisdom so much that His words of wisdom are mentioned in the Quran, plus the whole surah is named after him. Reflect on the names of the surahs, by the way. Surah Al-Nahl, Surah of the ant. Chunti ki surat. Oh my God. Chunti, right? This small little creation of Allah. And the surah is named after an ant. Why? Because we should ponder and reflect. This is what tadabbur is. This is what reflection is. What did that ant do, by the way? This one ayah, right? In the whole surah regarding that ant, on which the whole surah is named after that ant. What did that ant do? Kya kiya tha? Yeah, when Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam went out with his army, and Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam has the kingdom over the humans and the jinns, and he knew the language of the animals and the birds, and they were all under his kingdom. So when he was traveling, some ants came out of their hole, and they saw Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam coming with his army. And his army were like the huge army, jinns. He said, oh, fellow ants, let's go back to the hole, lest Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam and his army will crush us without knowing that we are here, because we are so small. Let's go back. That's it. One ant said to its fellow ants, let's go back to the hole, so that they don't crush us unknowingly. This is it. And Allah Ta'ala quoted that ant's words, and that whole surah is named after that one ant. What does it tell us? It tells us that Allah Ta'ala appreciates this so much if we help our fellow brothers. Kisi ki khair khai, if we are sincere and well-wishers of our fellow brothers and sisters, Allah Ta'ala appreciates that so much. An ant was a well-wisher of its fellow ants, and Allah Ta'ala quoted that ant, saying that to its fellow ants, and also that surah is named after that ant. Son, and that whole surah is named after that man called Luqman. He was a wise man. Allah Ta'ala wants us to be wise. This intellect that we all have been given, Allah Ta'ala wants us to use that. But that is learnt, and that is sought from Allah Ta'ala. We should beg Allah Ta'ala, we should make dua to Allah Ta'ala to grant us wisdom. To grant us wisdom. La hakima illa dhu tajribatin. Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam that nobody becomes a wise man without experience. So experience teaches us wisdom as well. But at the very same time, as I said, that this is something that we should ask Allah Ta'ala for. It is learnt with time, plus it is a gift from Allah. Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam that la hasada illa fisnatain. Here, hasad is in the meanings of something called ghibta. You don't be envious of anybody except two people. He said, don't be envious of anybody except two people. What is difference between jealousy and envy? In jealousy, you don't like what other person got, and you want that it be taken back from him. This is jealousy. Enviousness is that you do like what the other person has got and you give him dua, but you also want that, Ya Allah, give me that as well. Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't be even envious, don't even have ghibta for anybody except two people. Number one, a person that Allah Ta'ala has given him a lot of wealth and he is very generous and he spends in the paths of Allah Ta'ala, different avenues of Allah, for the sake of Allah. Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, have ghibta for this man. Envy this man. And ask Allah Ta'ala that you also get so much wealth and you also become so generous and you also have that ilm that you are able to spend that wealth in the cause of Allah. So have ghibta for this man. Number one. Number two, he said have enviousness, ghibta for a person that Allah Ta'ala has granted him wisdom. And he makes decision amongst people through his wisdom. He said, be envious of this man also. That, Ya, amazing man, Ya Allah, also make me wise so that I can also help your people through the wisdom that you grant me. Have enviousness for this man as well. Just imagine that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that forget about, he bought a Lamborghini, he bought a Tesla, he bought like a Land Cruiser. Who cares? May Allah bless him. Don't think, Ya Allah, when will I get the next Land Cruiser, the latest model 2025. Forget about that. If you want to have ghibta for these two men because they are the most amazing men. This is the most amazing thing that you can get. What? Wealth, yes. But not just wealth, not with bukhl, with generosity and also ilm so that you know where to spend that. Number one. And number two, wisdom through which you can help people out. This is something that you should really be asking Allah Ta'ala for and have ghibta for such people. This is what Allah Ta'ala wants us to become wise people, wisdom. For that we need to use our intellect. As I said, learn through books, through experiences, through those people who have wisdom. Sit in their company, learn from their wisdom. We must. This is how hikmat is learned. By reading, by experiencing, by pondering. And what can be bigger reading than the reading of the Quran and Hadith, of course, right? And by being in the company of wise people. That's how we learn wisdom. We have to take time out for that. تَخَلَّقُوا بِأَخْلَاقِ اللَّهِ. Adorn yourself with the attributes of Allah. Allah Ta'ala is Al-Hakim. Be Hakim as well. Be wise men. Good men. Think, reflect, use this blessing that Allah Ta'ala has granted us, friends. Unfortunately, these gadgets are taking our time. They are robbing our time where we could have used our time to learn wisdom, learn things, different things. Especially wisdom, of course, everything else. Notice things. How do wise people deal with things? Just identify. This look like a very wise man. I should sit in his company and notice as to how does he deal with things. Learn it. I was telling my friends a story. There was a very famous woman whose mother passed away. And Mufti Taqi Usmani Sahib, Damat Barakatuhum, he went to her, the house of that woman to offer condolence to her family. And that one of the daughters of that woman, I saw a video clip, that's how I know, like I was not there, but like You can call it first-hand experience because now things are recorded and you can see that. Now this daughter of that woman who has passed away, and Mufti Taqi was there, and somebody has recorded all of that. As you know, the women in our culture, at the passing away of people, the way that they express their emotions. You know what? I'm roughly quoting. I can't recall because it's just a few years ago. You know what? My mother, she saw a dream a week ago that she's, one of those people who had passed away. She's meeting with them, and she was saying, looks like my time has come. And honestly speaking, by that time, if any woman was talking to me like that, I would have been least interested in all of that. I would have said, you know what? Thank you very much. I'm very sorry at the loss of your mother. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And I would have left. The way that Mufti Taqi was listening wholeheartedly, all ears. Really? This is his response. Oh, my mother saw a dream last week. Really? Really? Subhanallah, I thought that this is caring for people. This is wisdom. I mean, just somebody saying something. I know. Oh, she was that, she was this is what. Last night I got up this morning, after Fajr, and she called me and she said this, and whatever she said. I mean, things like that. And he was all ears. Really? Seriously? Oh. He was replying back to all what she was saying. She wanted to share herself, and he was all ears and trying to. This was his condolence. And I learned, I said, Subhanallah. Subhanallah. This is wisdom. This is how you deal with people. And that's what I said, the wisdom is how to deal with people, what type of people, at what times. You cannot deal with all people the same way all the time. Remember we said at the start that Allah Ta'ala has called Sunnah hikmah. Sunnah is wisdom. Look into seerah as to how did the Prophet ﷺ deal with different people at different times. He dealt with women in a different way. He dealt with children in a different way. He dealt with elderly in a different way. He dealt with, his serious conversation was in a different way. His casual conversations were in a different way. One man is coming with a question, he is answering him in a different way. Another man coming with the same question and he answering him in a different way. This is something that we all need to learn from Sunnah. This is how we study Hadith. This is also called tafaqquh, deep understanding. Tafaqquh fi deen, deep understanding in deen. Subhanallah, we are so one track, one-minded people. Small little hearts, and we just have learned this thing, and then we deal with all people with the same little ilm that we have, the same little knowledge that we have, in the same way throughout our life. This is not acceptable. This is how we deal with our kids. Right? My son coming to me and he's telling me something, I should be all ears and try to understand. How come did you do that? Well, go back maybe 30 years ago and you were 15 years of age. Put yourself in his shoes and try to understand what he's thinking right now. Plus, add all of these years up. My 30 years ago, life was different and now we are living in 2024. Add all of that up and then now try to understand what your son is saying. This is wisdom. Subhanallah. 2024 now, these kids are different makhluk. Right? Gen Zs, they're all different people. Right? Their thought process is different, thanks to social media and everything. Their thought process is different. They're living in a global village. They're not living in Tando Adam Khan. Right? They're not living in a box. They're living in a global village. Their thought process is different. They have many questions that we did not have. How come did you ask this question? Don't you know? Well, come on, listen to what they're saying. Listen to them, what they're saying. Try to understand their question. This is important, right? Somebody's parents, said, they were dealing with this person's kids. And they were dealing with him, in very old-fashioned way. This person said to his parents, please don't do this to these kids. We know how to deal with kids. We raised you up as well. You're teaching us now. Well, but Dad, you raised us 40 years ago, right? This is what I'm saying. You learn this much, and then you try to deal with everybody with the same little knowledge that I've learned 50 years ago. No expansion of knowledge, no relearning, no understanding of the environment that we are living in, not understanding the people that we are dealing with. This is not wisdom. We need to understand all of this, my friends. Where are men from? Men are from Mars. And women are from Venus. Different makhluk from different planets. Seriously. If men are trying to deal with women the way that they think of themselves, this is lack of wisdom. And if women are trying to deal with men, what they are thinking of themselves, this is lack of wisdom. Why don't you understand? Well, I can't because I'm a man. Women want to talk all the time. They're expressive. They want to share themselves. I know men are not all men are like that. When they go back home, their wife needs 1 hour to explain a small little story. And what are men saying? Please, can you make it short and brief, concise? Right? Possibly it can be said in like 3 sentences. No. You don't want to talk to me, right? No, I do want to talk to you, but if it can be just like little brief and concise. But that's how they are. They cannot be men, and men cannot be women. وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. Men are not like women. Please, this is part of that wisdom that we all need to learn. Especially before marriage. Even after marriage, actually. It's never too late. It is never too late. Never think it's too late. Some people say, it's too late for me. Come on, you are a defeated person. Defeated mindset. It is never too late. If you're an 80-year-old, it is not too late as long as you're breathing. You can still learn. You can still learn. Right? If somebody has become sick, right? And so, I wish that I had done exercise 30 years ago. Come on, forget 30 years ago. We cannot bring back 30 years. Now, do something now. You can still do it. Do it now. It's never too late. You can do it. Always remember, it's never too late, and you can do it. Always. Right? So please, we all need to learn all of this. It's never too late, and we can do it. But we need to learn wisdom. Allah Ta'ala wants us to have wisdom. This is a treasure. And this is the treasure of a Muslim. Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, al-hikmatu dalatul mu'min. Wisdom is the lost treasure of a believer. He should get it from wherever he finds it. Even from a non-Muslim. If a non-Muslim says some words of wisdom, Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, go get it. This is your treasure. This is your lost treasure. Go get it. Learn it. Learn from him. Astaghfirullah, he's an atheist. But this thing, yes, I know that he's an atheist and he doesn't believe in God, but this particular thing, he is absolutely right. Let's get it. This is also lack of wisdom. But we're not understanding, what to expect from whom. This is lack of wisdom. Let's try to learn people who is who, what are his expertise, what can I get out of him, how can I, all of that. This is part of wisdom, please, my friends. This is a subject that we can talk about, for another 2 hours. But we need to learn wisdom in every single thing. How to deal with situations. Look at the way Prophet ﷺ dealt with situations. Right? Look at the way that he dealt with Hudaybiyah. Oh my God. By the way, talking about Allah Ta'ala as being Al-Hakim, Allah Ta'ala is showing the Prophet ﷺ a dream that you and your ashab are going for Umrah. And we know that the dreams of a Prophet are revelation, wahi. Prophet told this dream to the Prophet, to his Sahaba, and Sahaba were so happy. They all put on ihram, now going after like 6 years of exile from Makkah Mukarramah. 6 or 7 years almost. Right? So passionate. All put on ihram, and imagine the way that they were saying talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. In a group. Labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. And they meant it. They were not like us parrots. Ya Allah, I'm here at your service. Ya Allah, I'm here at your service. They meant it, and they were going with passion, and they were stopped. You can't go past this point, sorry. How come you're coming? Well, our Prophet saw a dream. That's why we are coming, and the dream of a Prophet is true. No, sorry, can't come. Again, long story. They came, said, all right, write a contract. You are going to go back now. You cannot come to Makkah this year. Go back. So, all right, we'll go back, but let's have some peace treaty here. Peace treaty is that, whatever, this. We will not fight you, you won't fight us. Right, a peace treaty, proper peace treaty. And Prophet ﷺ signed it. Read the story, very tough contract, looked like a very one-sided contract. And Sahaba were so upset. Sayyidina Umar especially. He said, Ya Rasulullah, why are we signing this treaty? Are we weak? Can't we fight? Umar, it's okay. We will sign it. But why, Ya Rasulullah? He was very passionate. Why, Ya Rasulullah? Subhanallah. Now, Prophet ﷺ signed it. Sahaba were very upset because they had come for Umrah and they were not understanding what is going on. And Prophet ﷺ eventually signed it, and they all loved the Prophet. Now Prophet said, ﷺ, let's go back to Medina. Take off your ihram. Imagine the state of their heart. Coming all the way through, took them days. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. And now they have to go back to Medina without performing Umrah. They were not willing to take off their ihram. Prophet said, ﷺ, take off your ihram. They were still, they could not understand. Prophet ﷺ went to his tent. Sayyidah Salma radiallahu ta'ala was there. He was very concerned. What should I do? They're not listening because they cannot understand with their passion that they are in. She said, Ya Rasulullah, you take off your ihram, sacrifice the animal, shave your head off, put on the normal clothes, and they will follow you. They love you. They are just not understanding right now. Prophet ﷺ did the same. What words of wisdom from a woman here. He'll love you, Ya Rasulullah. They will just follow your actions. You do it. So women are also wise. Right? Our wives can also give some words of wisdom as well. Take the words of wisdom wherever you find them. Sometimes we are so much arrogant, we men, that we don't want to take words of wisdom from our wives, right? They can also be wise. And men can also be wise, so women should also take it. Anyway, Prophet ﷺ did that. Everybody followed him, took off their ihram. Exactly what Sayyidah Salma was saying, radiyallahu anha. And while they were on their way back, Allah Ta'ala revealed the ayat, Inna fatahna laka fatham mubina. So, I have opened for you a clear victory, O my beloved. Now, you said, where is the victory? It was an absolute defeat. Where is the victory? But Al-Hakim is saying, Inna fatahna laka fatham mubina. I have opened for you a clear victory. And then the rest of the ayat. And what was that victory? What was the hikmah behind all of this? This treaty was to be signed, a peace treaty. And because of that peace treaty, now Prophet ﷺ was not in a war mode anymore. For the last 6 years, he was in a war mode all the time. People don't realize that. They have not read the seerah properly. People think that there was Badr, and then Uhud, then Ahzab, and that's it, right? 3 battles that he fought. He was there was a war battle going on every month. They were the big ones. Every month or so. Sometimes twice in a month. He was in a war, in a battle mode all of these time because people were attacking, he was defending. Sometimes there was an offensive, sometimes there was a defensive. This was going on all the time. Now there was a peace treaty, nobody will come and fight. Now is the time to call people toward Islam with peace. Nobody will fight us anymore because there is a treaty. Subhanallah. And that's where people came into Islam in abundance. He wrote letters to the kings and whatnot, all of these years. And what? Guess what? These people broke the treaty a few years later. A couple of years later or so. They broke it. By that time, there were so many people who had entered into Islam. Now they went with like 10,000 people, attacked Makkah and conquered Makkah without a bloodshed. So, this is Al-Hakim. Things look like they are not going your way, but there is a lot of wisdom behind all what happens, friends. But look at the Prophet ﷺ's wisdom in dealing with things, dealing with people. They are passionate right now, how to deal with them. They're upset right now, how to deal with them. Right? There's a woman coming, she was in so much awe of the Prophet ﷺ, she couldn't even talk properly, and Prophet ﷺ just made a joke. Why did he make a joke? To calm her down. I'm a normal person. It's okay. Wisdom. Young boys, the way that he was talking to them, making them feel good about themselves. Kids. Ya Aba Umair, ma fa'ala Nughair. Oh young boy, what did the bird do? A boy said, Anas's small younger brother, whose pet bird died, and he was so upset at the pet bird, at the death of the pet bird. Imagine, the small kid, 3-year-old, he has a pet bird and he dies. Do you think I'm going to give him a call and so I'll come and visit your house for offering condolence at the death of the pet bird of our small little 3-year-old? Do you think I'll do that? I don't think so. I should do that. But will I do that if I have not read the seerah? I don't think so. Now if I'll do that, I'll do it because our Prophet did that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But look at his dealing with small kids, offering condolence to a small kid at the death of his pet bird. Ya Aba Umair, ma fa'ala Nughair. Look at the way that he said it. He rhymed it. And this small little boy, small little heart, became so joyous. He just forgot about his bird. The Prophet is asking me about my pet bird. This is wisdom, people. Dealing with different people in different ways. Sometimes you have to be serious, sometimes you have to be light. Prophet ﷺ, Sahabas, somebody asked the Sahaba, how was the Prophet like? He said, he acted with us like a normal man. When we talked to him about Akhirat, he spoke. When we spoke to him about Akhirat, he spoke to us about Akhirat. When we spoke to him about Dunya, he spoke to us about Dunya. A normal man, not like, okay, bacha, theek hai. People think he is a pious man, right? A tasbih in his hand, close his eyes, and okay. What sort of righteousness is that? Righteousness is Sunnah. The way that the Prophet dealt with people. That is righteousness. A wise man is a righteous man. The way that you deal with people in different ways, according to the situation, according to the demand of that certain situation and all of that. Because that is what Al-Hakim demands from all of us. So please, my friends, don't get upset at everything that happens around you. There's wisdom behind everything that Allah Ta'ala does. Everything, all His creation is created out of wisdom. Rabbana ma khalaqta hadha batila. Ya Allah, you have not created all of this in vain. In China, there was a man called, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Mao Zedong. In late 1950s, what he said was that, our crops get reduced by 10% because the sparrows come and eat them. So he thought of creating, it was called a 4 pests campaign, initiated in 1958. He said, let's kill all the sparrows, let's kill all the flies, mosquitoes and rats. 4 things. Sparrows, mosquitoes, rats and flies. He said there's no useless things. Rats come and they destroy things, flies destroys things, mosquitoes always harm, and these sparrows, they come and they eat our crops. 10%. So let's kill them. So there was a campaign. The whole country was running this campaign. Anywhere they will see a sparrow, they will kill it. And in 1 year's time, almost, whatever time, 6 months, 1 year, they were not able to find a single sparrow in China. And now they're waiting for their next crops to come, because before it was 90%, because 10% was eaten by. Guess how much was the next year? How much percent? Can you guess? Almost 0. Drought. Subhanallah. They got shocked. I just Googled it. That's why I'm because some people say, aisi uda raha hai. So that's why I took the names and the year and all of that, the campaign's name. 0 drought. And they started investigating what happened. So they realized there were some small little worms and insects that are in these crops, and these sparrows were coming and they were eating these worms. And they were doing their work by eating these worms who would have otherwise harmed these crops. And they were working for you. Because salary bhi to milni chahiye ki nahi bhai unko? They should also get some salary. So their salary was 10% of the crops. It's fine. But now when they were all killed, these worms destroyed all the crops. And there was drought. This is what we call ecosystem. Everything is created by Allah Ta'ala for a reason. Once I was searching, why did Allah Ta'ala create snakes? And you go and read that, subhanallah, There is a reason why Allah Ta'ala created snakes. There's a whole ecosystem. There is a natural habitat where everything has their role to play by Al-Hakim. Everything is created for a reason with wisdom. Please. All what happens within us, people say, you know what, I've been sick for the last 10 years. Why? I've been making du'as. Well, you will find that on the Day of Judgment, inshallah. Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some people, they go through a lot of calamities and a lot of hardships, but they go back to Allah in a state that there is not a sin on them. Clean, pure. They're Jannatis, they go to Jannah directly if they have Iman. We only look at dunya, right? Why don't we add on the whole life cycle, including akhirat? Why are we only considering dunya? We are believers. We don't only believe in dunya, we believe in akhirat as well, the hereafter as well. So we need to look at all the things. Everything happens for a wisdom, for a reason, because Allah is Al-Hakim. Har cheez mein khair hoti hai. There is good in everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. I hope that may Allah Ta'ala give us that yaqeen, that certainty, and that belief in all of His attributes, including the attribute that we spoke about today, Al-Hakim. Allah Ta'ala is Al-Hakim, is the most wise. Everything that He does is because of a reason. And inshallah, there is good in everything. All what we need to do is two things. Number one, follow the principles that He has been given. And number two, make a lot of dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for khair, for afiyat, for goodness, for protection, for safety. And then leave it to Allah. Make a decision based on that principles. فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Then rely on Allah. Then trust in Allah. All will be good, inshallah. And He does everything the way that He does things, inshallah. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. So as always, let's renew our iman and ask Allah Ta'ala for forgiveness for all the wrongs that we have done. May Allah forgive us. May Allah not only forgive us, but also transform, change our bad deeds into good deeds. وَمَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ. It's not difficult for Allah. He can do everything. He's in control. Right? All these wrongs that I've done in the last 50 years of my life, Allah Ta'ala can transform all those bad deeds into good deeds in what we call as a split of a second. All what He has to say is kun be fayakun, and it is. So we expect from Allah Ta'ala that, inshallah. Ana inda dhanni abdi bi. Allah Ta'ala says, I am with my slaves according to His opinion of me. So inshallah, let's do tawbah with that niyat tonight, with a lot of hope. With a lot of hope that when I do tawbah, when I ask Allah Ta'ala for forgiveness, Allah Ta'ala will not only forgive me, but also will transform all my bad actions into good actions, inshallah. ठीक है? So if we can, let's renew our iman. Let's do tajdeed of our iman and ask Allah Ta'ala forgiveness. If you can all say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhiri wal qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi min Allahi ta'ala wal ba'thi ba'da al-maut. Amantu billahi kama huwa بأسمائه وصفاته وقبلت جميع أحكامه إقرار باللسان وتصديق بالقلب أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أستغفر الله ربي من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. My dear friends, men, boys, please pray in the masjid, all 5 prayers, or in the Jamaat. Please don't miss masjid. Women pray at home, men pray in the masjid. Okay? And women should also pray with a lot of khushu and khudu. We should come out of the Surah Al-Ikhlas and Kawthar. Let's try to memorize some bigger surahs. Spend some time in the prayer. We should stand in front of Allah Ta'ala as if we are talking to Allah. The first thing, what do we say right after takbir? ठीक है ठीक कह रहे भाई. कंफ्यूज हो गए. छोटा सा हल्का सा सवाल पूछा. क्या? What? Sana. Ji. Sana. What is that? Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarak asmuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. Who does not know what does it mean? Learn it, inshallah, okay? This is talking to Allah Ta'ala. This sigha of khitab with kaf. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabaraka ismuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruka. It's not third person, it's first person. Sorry, second person. It is not third person. It's not somebody absent. It's second person. talking to somebody. Subhanakallahumma. Oh Allah, you are pure. Wa bihamdika, Ya Allah, all praise belongs to you. Talking. Wa tabarak asmuka, Ya Allah, your name is blessed. Wa ta'ala jadduka, Ya Allah, your status is the highest. Wa la ilaha ghayruka, and Ya Allah, there is nobody worthy of worship except you. Talking. We should talk to Allah Ta'ala. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. You alone do we worship, and you alone do we ask for help. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, guide us to the straight path. Ila akhiri. This is conversation with Allah. We should focus, stand as if we are standing in front of Allah Ta'ala. Spend some time in prayers, please. We all need to spend time, quality time in prayers. Mean it. Spend quality time in ruku and sujood. Anyway, pray in the Jamaat, men. Recite some Quran every day. Do istighfar for all the wrongs that we do every day. We all make a lot of mistakes. We all do. Kullu bani Adam khatta'un. Right? We all make mistakes. Ask Allah for forgiveness. And send salutations, durood on the Prophet ﷺ every day. And spend some time in isolation with Allah, close eyes, focus. Just reflect on Allah's mercy. Try to make it a habit every day. Otherwise, this time will be gone. We'll be lost in this deceptive world. And a day will come when the angel will say, all right, time to go back. And he'll say, oh really? Go back where? To Allah. We had to go back as well. I thought this is Jannah. No, this is not Jannah. Jannah is somewhere else. Did you prepare for that? Sorry. Give me some time. I will. So I'm just giving all of this based on the ayat of the Quran. Rabbi lawla akhartani ila ajalin qareeb. Ya Allah, can you delay it for some time? فَأَصَدَّقَ وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. I'll give some charity, Ya Allah. I need some preparation for Akhirat, and I'll become righteous. No. Enough time was given. So please, otherwise this world will deceive us. It is deceiving us. Another week gone, right? 7 days gone since last Friday. 7 days gone. 7 into 24, whatever. Number of hours gone. Into 16, that many number of minutes gone. Right? We were sitting here exactly at this time last Friday on the 10th of May. 7 days gone. What did we do in 7 days? How much did we prepare for Akhirat in those 7 days? We should go and reflect and sit and reflect. Kya kiya? What were the good deeds that we do in last 7 days? Let's count, all of us individually. Agar nahi kiya, if we did not do anything, that's just waste of time, waste of opportunity, isn't it? So, bhaiyo, every day. Sit for some time. First thing first, focus on your prayers, as I said. Sit for some time. Istighfar, asking forgiveness for the wrongs that we do. Salutations on the Prophet. Recite some Quran. And sometime, just close eyes, forget about everything and focus on the mercy of Allah, and remember Allah Ta'ala in the heart. Make a lot of dua as well for guidance, for protection, for safety, and everything. Dunya, akhirat. ठीक है भाइयों, दुआ कर लेते हैं. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह रब्बिल आलमीन. अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना व नबिय्यिना मुहम्मद व अला आलि सय्यिदिना व हबीबिना मुहम्मद व बारिक व सल्लिम. जज़ल्लाहु अन्ना सय्यिदना मुहम्मदन सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि व सल्लम मा हुवा अहलुहु. या हय्यु या क़य्यूम बिरहमतिका नस्तगीस. या हय्यु या क़य्यूम बिरहमतिका नस्तगीस. या हय्यु या क़य्यूम बिरहमतिका नस्तगीस. Ya Allah, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, please accept this gathering from all of us. Ya Allah, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, anything good that was said, Ya Allah, that was your tawfiq, please accept it and allow us to act on it. And any slip of the tongue, Ya Allah, any mistake that was made, Ya Allah, I beg you for forgiveness for that. Please ignore our shortcomings, Ya Allah, and please accept our good deeds. And Ya Allah, please allow us to prepare for that day when we'll all meet with you. Allow us to recite kalima on that at that time. And when you send your angels of mercy and forgiveness, Ya Allah. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Ya Allah, please increase us in our iman and our knowledge. And Ya Allah, our actions. Ya Allah, please fill our hearts with your love, your intense love, and the love of your beloved, our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ya Allah, please, Ya Allah, put barakat in everything that we do, everything that we have. Ya Allah, increase us in our dunya as well, and allow us to use our dunya for akhirat, Ya Allah. Please, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Ya Allah, have mercy on our parents and our spouses and our children and our generations to come. Guide us all, Ya Allah, and please accept us all for the service of your deen. We know we are not worthy to serve your deen, but we also know that it is all about acceptance and not about being worthy. Ya Allah, please provide means, please provide sincere friends, Ya Allah, sincere helpers, Ya Allah. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Ya Allah, have mercy on all of us. Have mercy on the whole ummah, Ya Allah. Have mercy on our elders, our teachers, our mashayikh, our students, our relatives, everybody who has any right over us. Ya Allah, please guide all of us and the whole humanity, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, please shower your blessings on this country, on this city, on the whole ummah, Ya Allah, on the whole world, Ya Arhamar Rahim, all Muslim world, Ya Allah. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, please make it easy for all those who are in any sort of difficulty or any problems, Ya Allah. People who are in any financial difficulty, please make it easy for them, Ya Allah. Take them out of those difficulties, please. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, Ya Allah. Please, Ya Allah, make all the stages of Akhirat easy for us and gather us all under the feet of Nabi Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam. Ya Allah, without reckoning, without questioning, because of your mercy and His intercession, Ya Allah. And grant us all your perfect vision and your everlasting pleasure, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, all the needs that we have of dunya and akhirat, please, Ya Allah, we beg you that you please grant us all of that with barakat, afiyat, Ya Allah, in abundance, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, any of us who are sick, please give us perfect cure and speedy recovery, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم صلى الله على النبي الكريم الحمد لله.